And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode number 28 of the Druids Dozen. My name's John Wisby, known in certain circles as the Rock Druid, and I'm a bit of a radio DJ. I've been doing it for quite a few years actually. I've got two shows on the go at the moment. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio 93.2 FM. That's in the Bristol, UK area. And also syndicated worldwide on the Rock Radio Network. And then there's the Rock Druid Show on astroradio.earth, one of the big sort of international sort of like music and science based program, internet based like, yeah. So yeah, this is the Druids Dozen. Basically I go through my substantial record collection, I drag out a dozen albums, and I wave them in front of the camera and we chat about them for a bit. So without further ado, I shall dive into this week's bag of goodies. Gonna kick off with a bit of Wishbone Ash. Yeah, there's the front. This is front page news from 1977. There's the front. There's the back. And there's the inner sleeve across there. Right, this is Wishbone Ash's eighth studio album. So it came out in 1977, and it's a bit of a kind of odd outlier as far as Wishbone Ash's kind of back catalogue is concerned. You know, you think of the classic Wishbone Ash albums, you think about things like Argus, There's the Rub. It's kind of quite complicated, sort of progressive rock almost. Yeah, all twin guitars, a go-go. And then 1977, this came out. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad album. I find this quite listenable. It's got its moments. Tracks like Goodbye Baby, Hello Friend, Coming from the Rain, The Day I Found Your Love, Diamond Jack, all pretty good. But it's more of a collection of radio-friendly, almost like soft rock ballads, rather than what we know and love as Wishbone Ash's signature sound. Maybe the fact that this was recorded in 1977, Britain's in the grip of the punk revolution, anything that remembered AOR or sort of like prog rock was deemed to be boring old farts. Maybe they were fishing for kind of the newly exploding American college radio circuit, looking for some radio-friendly US hits to relaunch their career in the States. I don't know. The result is, although this album is quite listenable, it's quite disappointing overall. You don't get the sort of like grip, it's not got the wow factor that many Wishbone Ash albums have. Fortunately, they kind of learnt the lessons of their ways, because the album that follows this is the fantastic No Smoke Without Fire, which is probably one of my favourite Wishbone Ash albums, if not my all-time favourite Ash album. But, like I said, it's competent, it's well played, it's probably one of the more accessible Wishbone Ash albums, to be honest with you. And of course you've got all the hallmarks, you've got all the twin guitar lines, you've got Martin Turner's fantastic vocals, etc. So overall, would I recommend it? Yes, but I wouldn't recommend that you start here. Give it a listen, but like I said, if you're going to explore proper Wishbone Ash, go for, say, I said No Smoke Without Fire, Argus, There's the Rub, all that kind of thing. So yeah, Wishbone Ash, front page news, 1977. Moving on to a bit of Blue Oyster Cult again. Yes, I know I've been waving lots of Blue Oyster Cult albums in front of the camera over recent weeks, and but that's mainly because Blue Oyster Cult have been doing lots of reissues and kind of stuff. And this is a Long Day's Night from 2005, 2002. Wow, that long ago, eh? Yeah, but this album has been reissued at time of recording yesterday. Had a Frontiers records of him bringing out some of the later Blue Oyster Cult albums as reissues, and this one is the latest one to be reissued. So I thought a good time to wave my original copy in front of you. Anyway, there's the front. It's the back. Well, there is the back. Sorry, my German is a bit... Well, I'm speaking German for, I don't know. But anyway, there's the back. Open it up. There's the thing behind the disc. There is the disc, the classic Blue Oyster Cult logo there. And here's the fold out sleeve. It goes along like that on there. And along like that on there. Can't remember exactly where this was recorded. Some place in Chicago, if I remember rightly. I may be wrong. No, it doesn't say. Well, oh yeah, they record on the summer solstice. The Navy Pier Skyline Stage, Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, so it is a now I think this is the the fourth official Blue Oyster Cult live album, although there's, especially this year, they've been bringing out loads of kind of archive and unreleased live material, but I think this was the fourth official album that came out as a Blue Oyster Cult live album as opposed to archive material. And it's the last official Blue Oyster Cult album to finish the late great Alan Lanier on keyboards. Guy died a couple of years after this was recorded. Gutter. I met the guy, lovely bloke. But anyway, it's a pretty good Blue Oyster Cult set. Not much else you can say about it, really. Oyster Cult always were a great live band. Like I said, I had the great privilege of seeing them live several occasions. Yes, I know if anyone says anything, there's the Monsters of Rock Festival in the UK back in the 80s where they were, well, they sucked. But, you know, hey, every band's entitled to having a sort of like shit gig from time to time. Overall, Blue Oyster Cult were a great live band, one of the best I've ever seen. This album sums up their live performances great. You got a selection of tracks, sort of like selected from right across their career. You've got tracks like is it Harvest Moon, Dance on Stilts from some of their later period. You even included Perfect Water from the Marmite album Club Ninja, and along with the classics, you know, Don't Fear the Reaper, Godzilla, Burning for You, Stairway to the Stars, Bucks Boogie, Astronomy, of course. Version of Astronomy on here is brilliant. One of my favourite Blue Oyster Cult songs. That, and do a cutty version on here. Yeah, not a great deal additional to say about this, but yes, it's a really good album. Like I said, this is the original Sanctuary Music issue. Of course, Sanctuary Music no longer exists, so it's Oyster Cult have taken the opportunity to reissue it on their new label, Frontiers. And I downloaded got the promo download of the album came through yesterday. Haven't had a chance to give it a listen yet to compare. I don't think there's been a remix or a remaster, but I shall give it a listen at some point, and if it has, I shall give you some feedback. But yeah, as good a Blue Oyster Cult live album as any. As good a Blue Oyster Cult album as any. Well worth adding to your collection. Yeah, A Long Day's Night, Blue Oyster Cult from 2002. Next up, I want to dedicate this one to one of my oldest mates. This one is for Paddy. He asked for could I dig this out ages ago, and I'll be honest, mate, I forgot. But anyway, he wanted to hear my take on this album, so here it is. This is, of course, Tank's Filth, Hounds of Hades, 1991, I believe. I should just check when I look at the inside. Anyway, there's the front. There's the back. Pull this out. 1982, sorry. Yeah, there's the original Kamikaze label, original pressing. Oh, and I'll be honest with you, when people talk about new wave of British heavy metal, this is the album I think of, probably more than any other. To me, this is the ultimate new wave of British heavy metal album. Right from the slightly engaging but dodgy artwork on the front, the Cerberus three-headed dog, to the... Yeah, so here's the back. Yeah, produced by Fast Eddie Clarke, the Motorhead guitarist, and a selection of tracks that every single one is a belter of its genre. This is one of these cliched, not a weak moment on the album job. I read a review of this in, I think it was Kerrang or Sounds back when it came out, and was on a shopping trip with the family at the time, because I was still living at home at the moment. At the time I was in my late teens. Went to Merthyr Tydfil, found this in the record shop, snapped it up, and it's been an all-time favourite ever since. Now, if you don't know, Tank were formed by Algie Ward, former Damned bassist, and joined up with two brothers called Mark and Pete Babs. Is it Babs or Brabs? Brabs with an R, yes, I apologise, guys. And, you know, came out of the blue, came out of left field, because like I said, Algie Ward, best known for playing in punk bands before he turned metal with Tank, although he did go on to Atom God later, which was another great metal band, which I'll drag an album out by him at some point. But anyway, stunning album. The track list on here is Shell Shock, Struck by Lightning, Run Like Hell, Blood, Guts and Beer, the spine tingling That's What Dreams Are Made Of, where Pete Brabs' guitar work with all the delay echo, kind of hauntingly wailing sound. Then flip it over, turn your head around, Heavy Artillery, Who Needs Love Songs, and then the double whammy at the end of the band's kind of anthem, Filth, Hounds of Hades, song written about their fans. And then He Fell in Love with a Stormtrooper, an absolute storming anthem. He fell in love with a stormtrooper, got a riff to die for. Eddie Clarke's production on this album is beyond reproach. The performances are to die for. Algie Ward's vocals, they're husky, they're kind of like Lemmy Light. I mean, Tank were always referred to as Motorhead's little bastard brothers back in the day, and you know, you understand why. The Motorhead influence is strong on this one, Young Skywalker, but it's just a classic. Yeah, Tank did some, have done and still going, so still do some damn fine albums to this day, but to me, this remains the high point of their career, and probably the high point of the whole new wave of British heavy metal era, to be honest with you. Yeah, so the fantastic Filth, Hounds of Hades by Tank from 1981. Great record. Okay, next up, that's something a bit more underground, a bit of more, not so obscure, but there's the front. There is the back. This is Myst by Myst. That's an EP from 2016. 2016, sorry, hiccups there. Open it up. Signed by the band. And a ticket to their EP launch, where they were supported by Kronos and the fantastic Junk DNA, both of which may show up at some point on this series. Now, I came across Myst about a year before this EP came out. One of the things I get asked to do from time to time as a DJ is judge Battle of the Bands competitions. It's something that I like and hate doing in equal rights because, you know, I've got a pretty broad taste in music. I like to think I can tell quality from crap, but on the other hand, when you sort of like got to judge a heat and give an input to, and you got 3 or 4 really good bands on the, you know, I feel a right git trying to choose between them. And it was in my capacity as a Battle of the Bands competition judge at the, I think it was the Underdog competition in Bristol a few years ago at Thunderbolt. I came across Myst in one of the heats. Now, this lot, they won the heat. It was a close run thing. If I remember rightly, they were up against the Dead Romantics as well, which was made it a tough call. But anyway, Myst won the heat easily in the end. I mean, I was struggling with some of the other, but the other judges tended it to go for these. Rightly so, not knocking them for not winning there. In fact, they were a great band. They went on to reach the finals, if I remember right, if not winning it. And if I remember rightly, they also kind of did well in a national Battle of the Bands competition around about the same time, going up to London to compete in the finals. Now, they're a 4-piece, I think it's 4-piece, don't say. I think they're a 4-piece kind of band. They're kind of old school hard rock is the best way of describing them. They got a really great vocalist who's got a bit of the Robert Plants about him. Can't remember his name because this is on the back here. Oh yeah, Andy Squires, that's right. Then you got guitars by a guy called Lewis Tunstall. Drums are Ramon Buckley and Nathan Watts on drums. Yeah, they're the 4 guys. 4 really talented young musicians, and these guys at the time could only been early 20s. And like I said, a year or 2 later, after I came across them, they eventually got around to releasing something, and they sent me this. And overall, damn fine records. Only a 4-tracker. Keep Eyes Sharp and Worm are probably the best 2 tracks on here, although the other 2, Breathe and Broken Circles, equally worthy. Style-wise, they're kind of old school classic rock. Again, hints of bands like Wishbone Ash in here as well, but without the twin guitar. Yeah, just kind of classic rock revivalism, that kind of new wave of classic rock stuff that the people keep talking about. But yeah, I don't know whether this album's available. I think Myst are still together, because up until the lockdown shut down live music, I was still seeing the name cropping up on the local circuit from time to time. Although I don't know if they've released anything since this. But anyway, if you can find a copy of this album, this EP, sorry, well worth your time checking it out. Yeah, this is the eponymous debut EP by Myst from 2016. Good stuff indeed. Okay, next up we are going to go full-blown prog. Here we go, there's the front. There's the back. Put it out. There's the logo. There's the inner sleeve in there. No inner sleeve, sorry. This is the Knightmoves EP by Pallas. So I just need a on-take of fluid while you drink in the Knightmoves EP by Pallas. Now, this is a 1985 this came out. Bit of a transitional one for the Aberdeen's finest prog exports. Lowen Matheson, the original vocalist, had just left. They brought in a guy called Alan Reed, little short bloke, lovely vocal, fantastic voice though. Cohen on vocals, and this was the first thing they released with that lineup. Finished lineup. The rest of it's kind of Niall Mathelson's the guitarist. I can't remember who the bloody vocalist was, but anyway, it's the classic. Rest of it's the classic Pallas lineup. Graham Murray on bass, Ronnie Brown on keyboards, Niall Mathelson guitars, Derek Foreman on drums. Okay, I can't remember who that departing vocalist was, but anyway, Alan Reed's first release, 3-track EP. You've got 2 kind of shortish tracks, both of which are pretty damn good. Nightmare and Strangers. And then you got the fantastic main track on here, Sanctuary. It's about 10.5 minutes long. It's a pure prog rock epic. Slick, it's smooth. Now this is got a bit of more of a commercial edge. This lineup of Pallas had to the original, the stuff that did albums like what's it called? I've forgotten. The first album, or second album, sorry. No, gone. One of Al's answers, but anyway, slightly more. They got a slightly more commercial edge to them, but I saw them live on the tour for this. Actually, when they were supporting, the first time was when they were supporting UFO, and they gave them a heavier edge. I mean, if you notice, the little centaur bloke there's got his little Dio horns out, bit of metal, and they did have a bit of a metallic tint to them. Did Pallas, especially live, not so much studio stuff, but their live stuff certainly did. Just a cracking record. This lays down the ground for what became the Wedge album, which followed the following year. And although this EP has long since been deleted, the tracks on here are on the CD and digital reissue of the Wedge as bonus cuts. It's a good album. Alan Reed's vocals just slot into the sound really neatly. There's none of that awkward first release stuff. The rest of the band are on fine form. Sanctuary itself contains some cracking Niall Mathelson guitar solos. Just really, really good. So yeah, one I would recommend to any kind of interesting progger. Like I said, if you wanted this actual as the Knightmoves EP, you're going to have to hunt down an old vinyl copy. I think it had a cassette release as well. But anyway, yeah, but like I said, if you just want to hear the tracks, just get the CD issue of the Wedge, or the digital reissue of the Wedge. The tracks are on there as bonus cuts. Yeah, 1985, The Knightmoves by Pallas. Okay, we have this one next. Another classic, in my opinion. Levelling the Land by the Levellers. So there's the front. There's the back. Disc. Pictures of levellers doing levellersy things. And the rest of it is just lyrics. Now this was the Levellers' second album. Came out 1991. And it's probably the album that broke them through in the UK. It contains two of their big hits, two of their probably best known tracks, Battle of the Beanfield and One Way. If you haven't come across the Levellers before, imagine they're sort of like folk, traveller folk punk. I say think about the Pogues, but they're more Jethro Tull than the Pogues. Wild Irish fiddles but with a kind of sort of punky anthemy kind of sound to them. Yeah, kind of traveller punk is the best way of describing it. Very folky, but just very, very good kind of jiggy music. Like I said, came out around about an interesting time in musical history. Throughout the 80s, we had a kind of group of New Age travellers in Britain. Now, depending on your political stance, they were either the scum of the earth that deserve to be smashed up by the police should they try to set up in a field near you, hence the song Battle of the Beanfield, or they were just people that, for various reasons, a lot of it due to the kind of maybe Margaret Thatcher's economic policies, had no option but to buy a van and live on the road because house repossessions, the unavailability of social housing, etc., or just people that wanted a lifestyle that didn't kind of chain them down and slave them to the poll tax. All those are factors, kind of that led to the kind of traveller culture, and a number of bands came out of that as well. The Levellers being one. Fun and anarchic, but on the same time deeply political and deeply sociologically aware. Band that kind of sort of like kicked open the doors of your ears and demanded that you listen. Overall, a great album. Tracks like The Road, The River Flow, Liberty Song, The Boatman, Far From Home, Sell Out, Another Man's Cause, 15 Years, besides the two kind of say Battle of Beanfield and One Way, which are the two big hits off this album. Intensely listenable, great fun. And if you want to get into the Levellers, this is the place to start. I'll admit some of their later albums can be a bit hit or miss, but this album here, 100% hit. Yeah, 1999. No, sorry, 1991, sorry. Levelling the Land by the Levellers. Great stuff. Leads me on to another classic album and an interesting version. There's the front. This is, of course, Parallel Lines by Blondie. There's the back. And what makes this interesting is that there. This copy was given away free with the Daily Mail, the Britain's right-wing, paranoid, immigrant-bashing Tory wank mag. And That's my personal opinion. I mean, you can agree to differ. Needless to say, I didn't go and get the Daily Mail. I picked this copy up in a charity shop near where I live for 50p, because it's just a great album. I got it on vinyl. I wanted the CD copy, and I thought, well, why not? You know, the Daily Mail's not getting me money, the charity shop is. And then when I got it home, I realised on here there's some bonus cuts, 3 songs lifted from the Panic of Girls album, which is a bonus. What I heard, Girly Girly and Mother. So, you know, I win, quid's in. Now, but coming out of Paradise Lines itself, 1978, Blondie's seminal album. It's probably their best known and one that contains a lot of the big hits. No, it's not got Union City Blue on it. No, it's not got Atomic. But track list that includes Hanging on a Telephone, One Way or Another, Picture List, Anything Will Happen, Sunday Girl, Heart of Glass, Just Go Away. You know, got some cracking big hits off this. And the non-album tracks are brilliant as well. Again, one of these albums, not a weak moment. Fade Away and Radiate being one of the highlights in my opinion. Yeah, I'm Gonna Love You to 11:59, just amazing stuff. I first really listened to Blondie when I was about 15, and the girl I was seeing at the time was a massive fan, and when we were kind of just hanging out, listening to music together, this was the album she would put on incessantly, to the point where I was beginning to get annoyed with it at the time. But then kind of over the years I began to appreciate Blondie for what they really were. Eventually got around to see them first of all in 1981, and I've seen them 2 or 3 times since they redid their reformation. Cracking band, always do a great live set. And when I saw them at Guildfest in 2008, they actually performed this album incomplete, beginning to end, right through, and spine tingling moment. Yeah, just a really good album, still available on a number of formats. So if you've not really listened to a full Blondie album, this is the one that I recommend that you start with. Yeah, 1978's Paradise Lines. Okay, got a bit of a punk vibe going this week, just the way it worked out. I'll grab these stuff at random, and we'll have this one, another punk classic, Back at the D.H.S.S. by Half Man, Half Biscuit. There's the front, there's the back. Original Pro Plus release on the label there. Yeah. Now, in case you don't know, D.H.S.S. stands for Department of Health and Social Security. If you're unemployed in Britain in the 80s, that's where you went to get your dole money and get verbally abused by the people that work there. You know, I lived in South Wales during the Thatcher period, where there was 18,000 out of work, chasing 20 jobs in the job centre, most of which were looking for part-time workers. So I know what it was like. But anyway, Half Man, Half Biscuit, band out of Birkenhead up there on Merseyside, northwest of England. And a kind of interesting blend of punk, but these guys are kind of, if this album was released now, it will probably be more alt rock, because it's not got that kind of snarling, noisy punk nihilism. Instead, it's kind of got some fairly pleasant tunes, actually. Sing-along melodies and nice catchy hooks, and some funny but quite strange lyrics. I mean, you got fucking hell, it's Fred Titmus on here. Just I think Fred Titmus was. I think he was a TV presenter. Was it radio? Was it a TV gardener? I can't remember. But anyway, he's on here. 99% of gargoyles look like Bob Todd. Another reference to another rather obscure British TV personality from the mid-80s. So when was this album came out? 1984, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 84. I may be wrong. Correct me in the comments if I was, because there's not a release date on it. Then you got I Hate Nerys Hughes. Nerys Hughes, a famous Welsh actress, famous for her work in The Liverbirds. And probably the hating of Nerys Hughes doesn't actually come down to Nerys Hughes herself, but she's got a very Welsh accent as Nerys Hughes. But when she was in the sitcom The Liverbirds, she put on a really bad Liverpool accent. So being Merseysiders and Scousers, they took offence. Do the Len Ganley stance. Len Ganley, snooker referee in Britain, known for kind of his kind of intense staring at balls, snooker balls, while Steve Davis and Alex Higgins are knocking them around. They're going a bit of a cult figure. I Love You Because You Look Like Jim Reeves, again reference to the country singer, along with tracks like Venus in Flares, Reflections in a Flat, God Gave Us Life, Seal Clubbing, and my favourite one, Time Flies By When You're a Driver of a Train, which is a reworking of a song by a guy called Jonathan Cant, who wrote lots of songs for kids TV in Britain, working on programs like Playaway and a lot of the things like Chigley and Trumpton and Campbell Green animated series. And basically it's the Chigley train song with songs about smuggling cocaine into the country. Time flies by when you're a driver of a train, steaming into Trumpton with a cargo of cocaine. Over bridges, under bridges, running through a station. Careful with that spliff, Eugene, it's causing condensation. Yeah, just kind of mad, kind of off the wall, kind of very entertaining band. Got quite a few of their other albums, seen them live a few times. Absolutely storming band. I won't go as far as to say this is their best album, because they've done a whole string of great albums, but this is one of the classics. Yeah, not much else to say. Half Man, Half Biscuit, back at the D.H.S.S. Damn fine record, and they're a band that everyone should listen to at least once in their lives. Okay, next up we're going to keep it punk. And there's the front. There's the back. Pop him open. This is Echoes of Anguish by the Rudimentary Peni. Here's the booklet. Artwork and lyrics. Now, question: is this an album or an EP? The band themselves have officially listed it as an EP, but it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tracks on here. However, it's got a playing time of around about 20 minutes, because Rudimentary Peni, they were one of these bands that kind of specialised in the infamous micro song. Not quite the worst band I come across. I once played a gig sharing a stage with a band called Ripcord, who are out Western-super-Mare, that in a 30-minute set managed to get through 60 songs, some of which are 3 seconds long. This isn't quite to that extreme, but it's getting there. Yeah, Rudimentary Peni, London punk band. You know, came out around about 1980. I don't know whether they're still technically together. They stopped gigging in about 1984, just became a studio-only project. Done a whole string of really good releases, if you like your kind of micro, annoying in your face micro punk. They're one of the bands that laid down the kind of ground for hardcore in the UK. They were they've been listed as grindcore pioneers. They were, as well as kind of being very much involved with the anarcho-punk movement. Yeah, and this album came out 1997. This one was released. I'll check that for a minute. And it's pretty typical for what the Rudimentary Peni do. It's slick, it's fast, the songs are short, sharp and to the point. Some of them are only about 30 seconds long. Hard to pick any highlights on it because it's, you know when you see the boxers training, they got the speedballs. Listening to a Rudimentary Peni album is like being a speedball, being attacked by Mike Tyson or I was going to say Judd Trump, but he's a snooker player. No, but it's like that. It can leave you a bit shell shocked, but you always feel slightly better for doing it. If I remember rightly, Womb So Scorned is a high point on here, although I may be wrong. Like I said, because this album comes at you so fast and hard, it can leave you reeling. But overall, Rudimentary Peni are a pretty good band, and if you haven't experienced them, do so. This album's a good enough a place to start as any. Yeah, 1997's Anguish of Echoes of Anguish, Rudimentary Peni. Good stuff indeed. Okay, next up, we'll have a bit more prog from the 80s. This one was also 1985, was it? This is trying to remember. 1984, this one. If you might have just seen their Music for Nations label. There's the front. This is Art and Illusion by 12th Night. There's the back. Pull this out, we have lyrics and pictures, band picture and tour dates for their 1984 tour. Didn't see them on that tour, unfortunately. To be honest with you, I've not seen 12th Night full stop, but I'll explain why in a second. Just need a throat sweet a minute. Still not Fisherman's Friends, they're still not sponsoring me. Don't want sponsorship, only joking. But anyway, 12th Night, one of the, I hate the term neo-prog, but I'll go with my own personal term, the 80s, British 80s prog revival bands. Came through at the same time as bands like Pallas, Pentangle, Marillion, IQ, Multi-Story, quite a few others. And this originally they had a guy called Jeff Mann on vocals. Did a couple of cracking albums, including I think not Art and Illusion. This is Art and Illusion. I'm trying to think what the first. My brain is just faded today. I don't know what's causing it. But anyway, Jeff Mann vocal stuff. Do with one of the Jeff Mann albums on one of the early editions of this. Brilliant stuff. Now, Jeff Mann was a very religious young man and felt the calling of the big G up above, the great sort of like sky prophet, called him off to be a vicar. And he after he got qualified as a vicar, he came back with a kind of amateur solo career that was really quite interesting. They replaced him with, he said, trying to remember the guy's name. Andy Sears, that's right. came in on vocals and recorded this. And it's a kind of 5-track mini album, 4 tracks with vocals, Counterpoint, Art Illusion, Kings and Queens, New Day, instrumental version on here called Crab. You know, it's pretty good. Now, I missed them on this tour, and then after this they kind of did what many of the prog bands did, and the album that came out after this, which is just called 12th Night, was horribly commercial. Because by this time bands like Marillion had hit singles, and all the labels that had signed up these prog bands thought, well, if Marillion can have big hit singles, so can we. So owing to record company pressure, etc., they started bringing out kind of some really crap albums, including 12th Night by 12th Night, which I apologise guys, I just can't get my head around. Just don't like it. It's, you know, it sucks. But this album is good. Had they carried on in this vein, I probably would have gone and seen them live and brought the 12th Night and kept, you know, give more credence to the album 12th Night. But anyway, great little record. The first 2 cuts, Counterpoint and Art and Illusion, probably the 2 high points in my opinion. Although Kings and Queens, First New Day, again, damn fine songs. Even the instrumental's pretty good. Andy Sears' vocals is, you know, they're different enough from Jeff Mann to give the band a kind of new start, but they're kind of accessible enough to, you know, for old hardcore fans to kind of still dig. I'll try to think of the rest of the lineup. Oh yeah, Andy Rebel, superb guitar playing on here, and was it Rick Battersby, the keys player. Damn fine performances, tight rhythm section as well. Good album. I said probably the last great thing 12th Night released before they fell apart. What 12th Night are doing now, I don't know. I really should look up. Maybe someone should fill me in the comments. But yeah, overall, you know, if you're interested in 12th Night, anything up to and including this album in 1984 is worth listening to, and not really much afterwards in my opinion. But you can try it and you may find musical sucker where I can't. But anyway, yeah, 1984, 12th Night's Art and Illusion mini album. Leads us on to a bit more folky stuff. There we go. This is the Pentangle by Pentangle from 1968, I think. Yeah, 1968. Wow. There's the front. There's the back. Now, bollocks, crappy, breakable cases. Discography. Disc. On here you have the original sleeve notes and a guy called Colin Irwin, who has written a rather nice essay on the starting of the history of the band leading up to this. And on the back there's the fold out thingy, and if I do that, that's the band themselves. Now, Pentangle, they're not a band that you know, back in the 60s and early 70s, this band were huge. Tend to be a bit forgotten about now, in my opinion. But they were a very, very important, influential band at the time. You know, folk music has always had a bit of a kind of, especially in the 60s, was kind of quite big with the kind of what would become the hippie crowd in Britain. you know, kind of the bands like the Spinners, Chunky Jumpers, Fingers in Their Ears. Yeah, I espied a maiden one early morning. That kind of stuff. However, thanks in part to a lot of the psychedelia movement that was beginning to kick off at the time, some of the folkies were beginning to experiment by bringing in kind of elements of this rock stuff. You know, and yeah, Bob Dylan plugging his, releasing an electric album in '66, also part of the inspiration behind it. And in the UK, I'll say it probably happened in the States as well, but in the UK, a number of bands began to form to experiment the kind of blending of rock and folk. Some of which, you know, were Pentangle, Fairport Convention, Jethro Tull, along with several others, and led to the kind of birth of folk rock in the UK. Now, this album came out in 1968, very much the band's kind of finding their feet. I've got some of the other albums, and you know, this isn't their best, but it's my favourite. Primarily because there's a kind of vibe on this one that's kind of quite raw. They're quite naive in places. You got a combination of original material and some classic sort of like traditional folk songs. Bruton Town, about kind of sort of folk tale about love and loss, That No Man Steal Your Time, which was a kind of traditional English folk morality tale. Way Behind the Sun, kind of probably the trippiest track on here. And then you got Pentangling, which is a rather epic track. It's about 10 minutes long. It's kind of quite jiggy and folky, and just very, very kind of brings in a kind of jazz element as well, which I find rather cool. This has got a number of extra tracks on here. There's Call the Will, the Casbah, which are tracks that aren't on the album. I think they were B-sides or singles or just tracks that didn't make the cut. And then you got some various versions of remixes and kind of edits and single versions of some of the other tracks on the album. Great album. Jackie McShee has got along with people like Sandy Denny, is probably one of the greatest folk rock vocalists ever produced. Bert Jan, the rest of them are really, really talented multi-instrumentalists. Bert Jansch is especially praiseworthy for what he can do on various instruments. So, yeah, pretty good. If you're into bands like Jethro Tull, Fairport Convention, or just want to hear some interesting kind of blend of stuff that kind of from a band that's criminally overlooked these days, I recommend this one. 1968, The Pentangle by Pentangle. Pretty damn good. Leads us on to this week's final offering. A bit of a classic to wind up with. This is, of course, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, the eponymous debut album, just before the band kind of shortened their name to Rainbow. Yeah. Now, there's the front, sorry. There's the back. I'm not sure what the if this is how the original came, because this is a 1983 reissue. Original album came out in '75. It may have had different packaging, I don't know. I just bought this when it came. Bought this back in the '80s when I was excited to expand my record collection. So yeah, apologise if I'm flashing a reissue in front of you, but this is my beloved copy that I've been playing for ages. In case you don't know, Richie Blackmore, did he jump or was he pushed? But anyway, at 74, left Rainbow, and at the time he was Deep Purple. Sorry, Richie Blackmore left Deep Purple. Sorry, and at the time Purple had been touring, and the support band was band called Elf, and basically he managed to persuade all of Elf, bar Dave the Rock Feinstein, who we dealt with one of the earlier editions of this show. I dealt with one of Feinstein's solo albums, to kind of come with him and form Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. This particular lineup only really lasted one album. By the time they brought out the next album, which was Rising, only Ronnie Jones Dio was left, and they had dragged in people like Cozy Powell on drums, Don Airy on keyboards, and Bob Daisley on bass, I think it was. Or was it Jimmy Bain? One of the two. But anyway, so this album, it's the one that lays out what would become the Rainbow's classic sound. The opening cut, Man on the Silver Mountain, still one of the great Rainbow cuts. 16th century Greensleeves, you know, maybe a slight hint of kind of Richie Blackmore's Night, kind of medieval folk kind of dabblings at times. Let's have a look. You've got Still on Sad, the Yardbirds cover. The rest of the stuff is pretty good. You know, Black Sheep of the Family, The Snake Charmer, Temple of the King, if you don't like rock and roll. It's just great slabs of great music. Blackmore is on fine form. You know, I've got to admit, Blackmore isn't my favourite guitarist of all time, although I will admit when the guy is good, you know. Not exactly the same kind of style I like. He plays Strats, and I prefer people that play kind of, you know, Les Pauls and humbuckers. I find Strat sounds are a bit kind of Hank Marvin for me, but, you know, hey, old Richie makes it work here. Ronnie Jones Dio puts in some of his finest vocal performances. And yes, he does mention Rainbow several times during the album. Yeah, the rest of the band, like I said, the rest of the band were members of Elf, who are damn fine band in their own right, and I recommend, and I will drag out some Elf albums for you at some point. But overall, yeah, 1975's Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, the first Rainbow album. I won't go to say it's the best, but you know, the early Rainbow stuff is a brush of a muchness. They're all kind of fairly high quality. This is up there with them. And trying to think who did the artwork on the cover. No, that's Brothers Hildebrand, I think, might be. But anyway, yeah, iconic artwork on the front, and great record. So, yeah, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, 1975. So that's it for this week. Once again, thanks for watching. If you want to give me feedback, you know, the comments are down there on YouTube. They're over there on Facebook. If you want to like, subscribe, it helps to kind of spread the word. Like I said, I'm not making money out of this. I'm just kind of doing it to share my love of music with, primarily with a few friends, but anyone else that wants to join in is more than welcome. Because, you know, records and music is something that keeps us all going, is it not? So, thanks for listening, everyone. If you like what you hear, spread the word, and I'll catch you all up next week. Bye.